Okay, good morning, everybody. Looks like we are live. Make sure everything is well set here. Change my numbers here. All right. So, good morning. Welcome back to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared. It is October 11th, 2022. So, happy Tuesday. Back in the main office chair, as you can see. So, should have everything at my fingertips, and we can move forward with our normal discussion relative to the markets. So for last week's conversation, I wanted to showcase the expected move ranges for the SPX. Remember, we're looking at about 124 point expected move, pretty much equivalent to last week's volatility, albeit we had a different close on the week, about 3640 SPX, and therefore our upper and lower bounds are going to be shifted slightly higher relative to our September 30th close, which was very weak and obviously was a fresh 52-week low close from the prior session. So as far as the expected move repetition that we talk about, last week did close inside the expected move. Therefore, I'm looking for a market to maybe become a bit more efficient in regards to where to expect market closure. You could argue that the week prior as well, we did close inside the expected move, but we didn't necessarily have a breach. So the week where the market closed the weakest was actually some of the least volatile trade we had seen, mostly because we stayed inside of that balance range for about 4 of the 5 sessions. This week, we'll obviously need to see what sort of news is going to break us back and forth. Things like earnings and CPI are on deck. Therefore, I do expect this to be a little bit of a more challenging week for market analysis in the S&P. But overall, we've had 2 expected closures. Therefore, the market is becoming a bit more efficient with pricing volatility. And even if that doesn't necessarily become a volatility reduction event, we sort of know what our boundary is right now. If we start to see volatility rise once again, sort of another range of price behavior, then ultimately this market will become a bit wider in price movement, and it would probably be another bearish signal for more downside, which is obviously the current trend. So shifting over to the SPY really quickly. And for this one, not going to spend too much time here, but ultimately removed the Wyckoff boundaries. As I mentioned before, they're not really relevant to current analysis based on the fact that they did fail. And if we're looking at yesterday's session, we can even see that we're starting to not only test the lower bounds of a lot of our previous week's trade, but we're actually starting to pressure that September low. So obviously, I talk about how when bullish setups or bearish setups fail, they often go back to their start points, and the lower ranges was certainly an area to target. As far as a new fear or fresh lows in the S&P, that would obviously need to be dictated by some of our catalysts. And I think this week will be jam-packed with a lot of things that can move the market. So, for now, I would not forget the lessons that we learned throughout this balance range. Let me pull up, a 30-day. Don't forget where your levels are. It's not to say that we are done with them, but we are trading away from them at the moment. And if volume profile is any hint here, we're starting to basically try and pressure this entire volume node to the downside, which would simply mean we're looking for new value on lower price levels. If this doesn't extend, or if it doesn't have the ability to extend today, you'll notice how significant the bounces are near the lows just to push back into value, then obviously getting back to 363 could still be on the table today. The thing that I do not have clarity on, especially in this session, is what to trust as far as bounces. If we're outside of where the balance range used to be, new ones can kind of form in shorter term timeframes, but ultimately the trend and the rejection is dictating a possible breakdown. And we just really haven't seen it yet, especially since we're pretty much at fresh lows intraday session, and we're testing some of the after hours lows after September 30th. Basically those yearly lows that were set in the after hours period, about 355. So that's pretty much all I have for the SPY today. I don't think those lessons we learned last 2 weeks or so should be disregarded, but I also don't think that they're extremely relevant this particular week. More so, start to evaluate things like your risk exposure to this market and start to plan out what a downside move might look like compared to what is setting up across the board. So similar to that, the NASDAQ also making fresh lows on last Monday session or yesterday. And still kind of keeping an eye on a bearish channel that we've been in since all-time highs were set. What this usually means is that once we start to flush previous month lows, aka June lows actually getting broken, sometimes we can be very straightforward in how we target the next leg. So, as I extend this out, and hopefully that should expand far enough, we could sort of evaluate the idea where maybe the NASDAQ pushes to the lower bounds of that channel, similar to a lot of our sort of reactionary lows. And that would be max fear, max pain in a lot of ways, highest volatility, usually when contango is backwardation is the widest in our vol futures. And for that could lead to sort of that mean reversion trade, even though it's based on a technical channel. So, pretty much every rally throughout has failed. We're trading at lows. Bulls are kind of holding on to the idea that we could still bottom out a bit here. But for now, with the catalyst this week, I don't think that's a high probability trade just yet. We would need to see some more information. Okay, so wanted to talk about a few of these risk reversals that have taken place. What do I mean by a risk reversal? It's usually when you have a strong trend, the trend gets a bit extended relative to how far it's moved, maybe how wide it is relative to where pullbacks get bought. And ultimately, risk reversals are all about mean reversion. The trend is still intact, and yet in that period, you're going to see a bit of relief. Maybe it's a very strong uptrend that first, pull back, and it often gives back quite a bit relative to the parabolic side of the move. I believe that last week, especially in that bullish rally that we had in the S&Ps, a lot of it was based on these risk reversals setting up. Whether you're looking at interest rates, I'm just going to use the TNX. The TNX got parabolic, and it's based on the fact that it came mostly from 2.5% and pretty much went straight to 4%. There wasn't much in the way of pullbacks before that. Yes, there was some inside trade and just smaller term flags, but nothing really significant relative to advancing and then drawing in. It was mostly just time consolidation, not price. So this period here provided a risk reversal, and we looked at that opportunity as short term because we really didn't know from a parabolic what to target. The first area often to review as a target is going to be your short-term moving averages. A 20 period on such a strong uptrend is a great spot to consider. And then from there, if it was to collapse a bit further, we'd probably shoot somewhere for the 50, or even just look at things like technical breakout areas, often a parabolic forms after things break out from an extension. Things move, they get a little too aggressive, and they break out at highs, which puts a lot of pressure on previous participants. So what did this look like in the bond market? It looked very similar. Whether you're looking at TLT, just that reversion trade, even short, though it was short term, coming back in. And this one obviously didn't pull in as much because it's more of a 20-30 year blend. But short-term products like IEF model exactly what the TNX represented, which is a little bit of an oversold, too far, too fast, parabolic in some ways, and then mean reversion or risk reversal back to areas of trend definition. In this case, a 20 period. And this is kind of interesting because it was such an aggressive trend that really we hadn't seen pullbacks to the 20 ever since this trend started. You could argue that the trend started here, and where is the pullback to that MA? It's not really defined anywhere else. So that's why it was a bit challenging to say, in this reversal trade, I am targeting this specific MA because the trend tells me to. It was actually an undefined target to some degree, albeit we know now how responsive the 20 happens to be because we can see it on our last pullback. So just some notes for that trade, but also clarifying what provided some of the fuel for that rally, even though it did eventually fail. Another example is the dollar. We've talked about the dollar a few times relative to the risk reversal. And what's important here is when you're talking about price and how much price give back did that reversal have, you can argue that the dollar is still in a daily uptrend, but you can also tell that that reversal was interesting, not because of the fact that it happened, but more so what it gave back. If you're talking about where did the dollar really put the pressure on the equities market, it was where it broke out, and it was where the candles got wide. It was where things started to be fast. And that's usually what defines parabolics, is you're breaking through areas that haven't really been explored before. So they're hard to counter, and in the case of maybe like a reversal style trade, and they also have to exhaust themselves. Notable with the dollar, however, we're seeing the same pullback out to the 20 periods, not exact, but you could argue there's maybe like a price trend line, which I'm trying to kind of keep all of our trend lines in order. But there's definitely trend line support. It's an uptrend. It made a new swing high. And then the question becomes, okay, the dollar provided relief. The S&Ps were able to rally. What comes next? In the cases of high volatility, the bond market, not so much. The parabolic is resolved, but bond market is trying to price in more of the future Fed funds rate and obviously project out what they expect. For the dollar, I think you can be a bit more technical. And this is where you say, okay, this pullback relative to a swing low went a certain distance. It didn't give back the whole move, but it gave back about 61.8%, golden pocket region of the fib retracements. And in this bounce that we're now experiencing, about 4 days of dollar upside, we could say the same thing. How far has the dollar gone so far? About 61.8%, so a little bit higher. It's in that pocket region, usually in between 61 and 78. That's your pocket of usually where fractal structures form in fib theory. Usually any repetitive structure is going to keep sort of pinging off of that. And I think for now, because we experienced high volatility in the dollar, we can say something very simple. The dollar is still in an uptrend, but there is potential here for the dollar to consolidate relative to the highs and lows that have just been established, which simply means that the next move in the dollar may not simply be a new swing high. Instead, what we might see is a little back and forth trade where we start to make lower highs and then potentially a higher low and then possibly a lower high. Usually some testing to get out of these lower high regions does occur. But the question is, are we really going to see new highs in any current trade? Are we going to see that in the near term future? For me, anytime I see the high volatility events, I often think consolidation, compression is more likely. And you can argue that you're still in an uptrend, but what you start to say is the uptrend is lacking momentum. It starts to define itself a little differently relative to a previous extension. And I personally think this is what is likely for the dollar, given what we're seeing on the technicals. It's also where the dollar has the highest rejection points so far. So that's what made that risk reversal so attractive, is where it rejected. Not necessarily that it needed to pull back, but the fact that it located itself well to previous swing highs. So, optimistically, not knowing what this region of the chart is going to look like, but knowing that rejections, quote unquote rejections, just pullbacks or, fade plays in this area of technical resistance have had potential to lower trend lines. And that's the most optimistic scenario for equities to be bullish, is to see the dollar not only change its trend, in the case of the daily, just losing the daily swing low, but also to have a lower target before we see another turnaround play, something that actually puts more pressure back into equities. And with regards to this dollar trade, you want to be thinking about these concepts if you're ever looking at products like gold, which had the same reversion type trades, but you can see that the trade is over. Like, we don't really know if that low is going to hold or that high is going to break until we get more clarity in the dollar. It's the same trade, just in different products. And in this case with gold, bit of an inverse correlation. Same thing with silver, albeit it did have a little bit of relative strength. Knowing that the product you're trading has high correlation to something like the dollar provides a lot of edge. It gives you an idea of when to take profit. It also gives you an idea of maybe when to buy back in. Because if you have a relatively strong product and it's trading in the same wave patterns, albeit maybe technical levels are different, those moves are often better defined if you're watching the correlative index that drives some of the price. And obviously you define your risk based on the product you're trading. Another one that was a pretty high impact was crude. Now, obviously OPEC had some production cut dynamics, and the market priced that in ahead of last crude inventory, which was somewhere around here. But you can tell that we knew levels. We had edge in this market before all of this occurred, and it was based around that 77 per barrel inflection point. I told y'all to watch it for this inflection very closely. I thought it was going to provide the level for the monthly bounce to start. Basically, the monthly lower high is likely to form now off of this level. We don't really know how high the bounce is going to be, but it's where it's starting. It's the first bounce point we've seen all quarter, at least it's been 4 months of downside in crude. And obviously We knew more and more over time that the daily trend was changing. We saw new daily uptrends starting to form. We broke out of downtrend resistance, and fuel to the fire, it became more obvious over time, but the dollar as well provided some energy. So it lined up in price, it lined up in catalyst, and for the dollar, it lined up in the risk reversal. Those are A-plus trades. You might not see them early. The concept behind them doesn't show itself until price reflects it. But look how much edge you have relative to these trades. The inflection level, the daily uptrend changing, the breakout of the downtrend, all bullish signals. And of course, for now, as the dollar may be starting to get strong again, it'll put a little bit of pressure in crude. That'll lead to a more range-bound trade that has yet to be defined. And I think that's going to be true across a lot of your commodity products. I'm kind of not necessarily an expert in agricultural products, but I've been kind of keeping an eye on things like wheat, which has some structural gaps based on some of the collapses we've seen, and obviously dollar strength leading into these commodity products taking the more distributive approach and selling off from their elevated levels. I'm keeping an eye on these because they're starting to kind of peak up a bit again. They have some volume signals. They might be starting to reclaim some of these more gappy or just pure downside areas without a lot of support. You can kind of notice where products like, the wheat ETF, WEAT, you could be looking at more of a blended agricultural ETF. Still overall weakened positions, but I think short term, if the dollar pulls back in or even consolidates, these allow certain trades to actually have a bit more edge back to the upside, even if they are limited. They do have their respective targets. So, this is obviously going to be a much harder trade to define, but it is something that is driven by the same force, which is the dollar. So I kind of wanted to round out that discussion by simply saying any evaluation of dollar strength is what I'll say non-actionable. Knowing that the dollar is strong is information, it's data. What you do with it is actionable. What do you trade based on dollar movement? Where do you put your risk if you believe dollar is going to do something significant? And obviously the risk reversal was probably the best hedge we had in a while. For now, not necessarily interested in touching dollar sensitive products until we get more clarity, but that risk reversal and the definition thereafter might provide an additional leg of movement. It obviously needs to break in one direction to understand what side to trade. So I wanted to call those out relative to equities, relative to gold, silver, metals, crude, anything that's going to be driven by trade, international trade, and obviously the macroeconomic drivers that make that sort of a bullish or bearish scenario for the tradable products. And then finally, some of our commodity products, of which I won't go into a lot of detail, but there's a lot of commodities out there that I believe will see relief rallies so long as the dollar stays under that spike high and so long as the dollar remains in a more consolidative phase. Whether that changes in the future, we'll need to see the return of dollar strength, true dollar strength, versus just holding its trend. So those are some things I wanted to call out for looking into this week and maybe taking a step away from equities. There are other things out there, whether you use the futures products or the ETF equivalents, there are other trades out there that I think are not worth ignoring. There's definitely edge in these secondary products, and they just have to set up. They have to do something special to really see that edge form, and obviously trade it. So for the week, just to kind of circle back from yesterday as well, it's earnings week. It's the beginning of our core earnings, and we have a couple of names on deck this morning. We have BlackRock, so BLK. We have stocks like Delta Airlines, so DAL, and for the most part, nothing too significant past that. But First Republic Bank does carry higher market cap than Delta. Into tomorrow, we have things like Pepsi and Alcoa, so PEP and AA respectively. And then, of course, into the end of the week, it's banks. It's bank earnings, all of your financial driving stocks. We're not going to be seeing Berkshire Hathaway for a couple of more weeks, but a large portion of the XLF ETF is reporting this week. So obviously start to prepare for earnings, whatever you do to trade or interact with those expected moves. Tomorrow, we'll start digging into some of the financial expected moves and talking about impacts if a lot of them correlate to one side of their relative range. And for today, I would actually kind of pay attention to BlackRock. This is a company that gives a lot of insight relative to investment and sort of your net holdings or your assets under management. What is this market showing us relative to what are portfolios positioned for? How much inflow and outflow are they seeing? And while the chart's not going to give you this information, the earnings report will to some degree. They kind of project their future expectations. Dow and BlackRock don't report today. You're right. It is Thursday. Okay. Sorry about that. So Norm is indicating that these do not report today. I thought BlackRock was early. So they reported the same day as our financials. I apologize. So a little bit of an error on the trading terminal. I guess our first one then would be Pepsi, which should still be tomorrow, but BlackRock is Thursday. So apologies. Looks like we're not getting that information yet, but I'd still pay attention to it. And for now, we'll obviously prepare for earnings a bit more. Tomorrow is going to be about CPI, so we'll talk about that on tomorrow's session. For now, I guess just stay tuned for pre-market prep. Trade safe today. We'll cover a little bit more, and we'll talk about some trade ideas that are starting to form. But for now, keep the balance range in mind, your risk definition in mind, and some of these trades have resolved. Doesn't mean that they're over. It doesn't mean that the highs and lows are going to be broken. We might see some follow through, but the dollar is going to be the key. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk more then.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Oh, I look blue. Hold on a second. Let me see what's going on with my camera here. Uh, one sec. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning. I'm not a Smurf, at least.
That's a good thing. I'm starting to feel like one though. I mean, I am. My whole family has been sick. I know you've been sick for some time,
Yep,
and
still sick. You can
it's
probably see it in my eyes. My camera zoomed in a little more than it usually
oh
is. I'm
yeah,
super
yeah,
puffy today. I'm
yeah.
tired. I'm
Me and my oldest daughters were the last one fine, and we just gave in. It was too much, too many of them. They overwhelmed us. Um, guys, welcome. Hope you had a great day yesterday. There it is.
There we
Okay,
go.
much better.
There's
All right.
that beautiful beard.
Yes. Good morning, guys. Let's see what we got going on today. First of all, before we even do that, let's give Jared a big thumbs up for engineering the markets every single morning. We appreciate that Monday through Thursday. So thank you there. Gabbers list today. We got a few things on here that are. Uh, I know Delta had earnings. I'm not sure about
No, they did
American and
not.
United. Oh, it was. It's not today. Maybe I misread
Oh,
that.
no, it's on Thursday.
Oh, okay. My mistake. So that these guys are all moving on their own, I guess. And then we have coins, tops, and dice, which I was looking at dice earlier, man. This is madness what dice is doing right now. So we'll get into all of that. And then on the rest side of things, we got Billy, Roblox, and TSM, three tickers that we know very well. We'll see what's going on there. So uh, before we get into that, let's take a look at some of the stuff we had yesterday on our list, starting with Rivian. It was a tough market, by the way. You know, we had some really good days, but yesterday's open was really difficult unless you traded Nvidia short yesterday, which was so clean. Everything else, a lot, well, not everything else, but a lot of it looked
I
like
had a
this.
killer day. I traded Nvidia long.
Oh, was it long? What time frame? I mean, what? Let me see. Nvidia. Oh, you took a bounce here.
I took the 10 o'clock bounce for almost
Nice.
$2, and
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
caught it 114.35 ish, I think, up
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
117 ish. So it was a decent day.
Nvidia
You
was
could
great, man.
you worked it both ways.
Yeah, Nvidia was great. I mean, to the short side, to the long side, but the stuff that I decided to trade, like Rivian,
Oh,
was garbage. So,
oh.
this is when it comes down. Looking at the PayPal, even PayPal was decent. Tesla, garbage, right? Just all over the place. Nvidia, as I mentioned before, probably one of the cleanest traders yesterday was Nvidia, and then we had AMD, which was rough, and also Apple. Apple's a little bit cleaner. It was a mixed bag. You had to be watching the right stocks to get some good opportunities yesterday. But nevertheless, this market has been nothing less than exciting. And with that, we'll take it over to the market pulse to kind of see what's happening today and the rest of this week.
Yeah, frankly, I'm not too surprised with yesterday. On Thursday, we've got the big CPI info. That's the info of the week. We got Fed speakers throughout the week. FOMC minutes tomorrow afternoon. There's not a whole lot today with FIB Small Business Index came out a little while ago. New York Fed 5-year inflation expectations. That shouldn't do much. You got Cleveland Fed president speaking at noon. But like I said, everything I think is kind of laying in wait until we get CPI data on Thursday to indicate any potential changes to Fed action that's expected coming up in early November. So, you know, the reason Nvidia was decent yesterday was because of the chip news. AMD was as well, as long as some of the other semis. The chip news that came out on Friday about changes to policy of selling certain chips to certain Chinese companies, hit those and was a strong catalyst. We'll see how the rest of it goes. We do have some stuff with airlines this morning, a couple of different pieces of information, and yeah.
All right, sounds good, man. Looking forward to see as you mentioned, American Airlines, Delta, and United all on our gappers list this morning. So, all right, let's get to it, guys. I noticed I did not link my stuff over here. I'm going to link this so we can be able to click on our tickers here, and we will get started. Okay, let's start with Dice leading the gappers list this morning. This is a 29 million shares flow, up 85% this morning. If you're holding this last night, you're a happy camper this morning at $46. What's the news on this?
Dare you say rolling the dice?
This is dicey to roll the dice on this one.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a biotech. It's not low float, but it's pretty low float, just under 30 million according to Trade Ideas. And let me confirm here, a little bit bigger than that, 36.5 million on FinViz. They had some positive phase 1 trial data on a psoriasis drug. So smaller company getting a pop on that.
Yeah, so that news, guys, could be always very explosive. Just again, very careful. This thing is trading very aggressive today. So we're very mindful if you're going to take this. So Gasso in our chat already took a trade this morning early on, 7:30, got in, out a few times, added some more. Man, you got a 48.19. Well done. Good job there, my friend. Let's take a look at a tops here. Tops this morning. We've been active the last week on this one. I'm not a big fan of this ticker. I don't think it trades all that well. Obviously, it is in play. So if you are a fan of the way this thing trades, this is your time to be watching this one. I don't like the price action. I don't like the way this thing moves. I don't like the daily. I don't like a lot about this. I think we can find better stocks to trade. So nevertheless, it is in play. If 2 million shares flow, if this is your thing, then go for it. Here is Coin. So Coin's got some movement today. 5.3, 670,000. Mara coming up as well. Looks like we got some movement in the Bitcoin area, Norm.
They had some specific news, and I apologize. I lost it. They got some regulatory approval in Singapore. I also heard something else about them maybe switching some of their cloud structure or something, but that I don't know has anything to do with it. There's news with Google. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Jared. Google partnership.
That of course, type with a name like that could be interesting. Let's see what this actually means for Coin and Mara. Today, on a news like that, today could be the day where they're active. I like Coin at the moment. Mara is picking up. We'll give these guys a little bit and see what that does for them. We'll put Mara as a secondary for now, and we'll come back to that. Next, we have the airlines. We have American, Delta, and United, and I see them all trading very nice. Here is Delta Airlines gapping up 3%. American Airlines 4.8 and United 2.7. So what do we have going on with the airlines today?
All right. So we got a couple of things. American, AAL, increased their Q3 guidance. They report here not too long on the 20th. So they increased they gave some pre-announced to a degree, let's call it. And then DAL announced a partnership with Joby, which we have had on the watch list in the past. I'm a little bit surprised I don't see it here. Could be, my guess is, see, Joby is up 17.4% this morning, 1.2 million shares traded. It's under both the ATR requirement, I believe, and the price of $5 that our scanners will pick up. So they announced a partnership with Joby, so some news there as well.
Okay.
For Delta.
All right, and that's for Delta, right? You said?
Yeah, DAL.
DAL. Okay. All right, so Delta moving really nice this morning. I like the pre-market action. Volume not so great, but they're nicely stocked, and usually Delta doesn't get the best volume. So could be interesting. We'll put this on here. We'll put Delta on there. Apart from the other two, American Airlines also has great volume this morning. It's up 4.7. We'll put it as a possible for now. I don't want to tie up everything with airlines. And then United. United, you mentioned, it's anything on its own or just sympathy?
That's sympathy, I believe. I don't see anything on United.
Okay, so nothing on United. They just want to be part of the move here. All right, let's see what's gapping down today, guys. We got Billy on deck. They're down 4.8. Billy just cannot find a bottom. Down again, 4.8. Not great volume, which is okay, 224. I did not see how they traded yesterday. Let's take a look. Not bad. Good drop here and good continuation throughout the entire day on Billy. Man, the last 3 days have not been fun. So could be interesting. I wish you can get more from the pre-market, but we're not getting a whole lot. But this drop here, obviously 52-week low for sure. Yeah, this is worth taking a second look closely at Billy. Roblox next here. We are down 4.5 on Roblox, 296,000. I like the daily we're losing here on Roblox. Well, that we can possibly lose, right? We got this area right on here that we're testing again for the third time or maybe fourth time. That could be interesting. Outside of that, again, Roblox could be funky at times. I'm going to put this as a secondary. We can come
I got a
back to.
downgrade out of Barclays.
Mm.
Actually, they initiated coverage and not a downgrade. It's an initiation at underweight and a $20 price target.
Oh, look at that. It's a aggressive price target there for them. Not fun. Let's see what that means at the market open. Again, right now, pre-market action not that great, but I like the daily for a possible breakdown there if we can get it. TSM is a Taiwanese semiconductor here, and they are down 3.3. Now, I thought we had good news. Why are these guys down? Is there anything affecting them? Well,
they're getting hit with the rest of the semis predominantly.
Yeah. For some reason today they're getting.
I mean, semis are getting whacked for a couple of different reasons. One is very sick. It's a very cyclical business, and oversupply, lack of demand, PC demand going down, all kinds of stuff like that hitting them amongst the other problems in semis. So, yeah.
So we're seeing that here on TSM. Again, not easy stock to day trade. It is in play today, obviously, but there's other things you can watch as well. But I'll keep that off my list. Here's Oxy. Today we're down 2.3. Big day for them yesterday, and I'm say big as far as movement, not actual positive. Oxy was down quite nicely yesterday. Today they're down 2.3. So I'm gonna add them to the list. Let's see if that can continue this morning. That is our gap list on both sides. We have one popping up on our gap up list. Forge G. Oof, what is this? What's happening here? This is Forge Rock. Yeah, this looks nasty. I'm not sure what's going on, but Forge. Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. So I will skip on that for now. It's just some massive candles here.
Forge.
Yeah. So not sure what's taking place.
They had earnings.
No.
No, that was last month. They got a buyout of some sort, it seems to be.
Okay. So that's not going to be a great catalyst to trade anyway. We might not get no movements out of that. All right, let's take it to you, Norm. What do you like this morning so far?
I mean, going back to the original conversation that we had at the beginning of kind of being in a choppy holding pattern until we get some CPI data or some other big kind of catalyst, I'm going to stick with my tried and true Apple, Tesla, Nvidia.
Yep. We'll do Apple. Again, Apple has been really good. Nvidia was amazing yesterday, man. It was really, really nice, both long and short. As you mentioned, you got it long there. So we'll look at Apple and Nvidia this morning. Let me bring over my YouTube chat. Forgot to open that up. So good morning over on YouTube, guys. If you haven't done so already, a great opportunity to hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. The likes help us a ton here, guys, to get our channel growing and to get the algos all activated and stuff. So appreciate that. Thank you. Let's take a look at our chats here. So we have Apple, Nvidia, and AMD. Alfredo, those are our usual suspects. I didn't add AMD, but AMD is another one that you can put on there. I'm going to add them to my secondary list. You can interchange them depending on which one is your favorite stocks to watch out of those three usual suspects. All right, what else do we have, guys? I don't see a whole lot on the list at the moment. You guys are pointing out.
I think I picked an excellent day to have to go renew my driver's license.
Yes, you did, Norm. You absolutely did. I mean, we talked about this, right? Into the what is it? Thursday? It's Thursday or Friday?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. I mean, I think we're going to be having a very interesting sloppy market, right? There might be some like you mentioned before, stuff like Nvidia might do okay, but for the most part, is not going to be a blockbuster list as we're seeing here. So, how about on YouTube, guys? You like anything? Guys, like anything on there? Coin we have Dice. I mean, yeah, guys, Dice. It's in play, definitely in play. Very, very risky. This thing looking to hit 50 here now. Came up from 24, up 100%. Again, just be careful, guys. Be very careful. This is the stuff that you could be right, but your timing could be wrong. and you can end up, hurting your account. So just be mindful of that as it looks to break the high of the pre-market here at 50. But yeah, just be very, very careful. Meta, Jeff P. Let's take a look. Meet A here, and what do we have?
I prefer Meet A.
Meet A. Yes. So Meet A here. I'm not seeing anything great on it now. I mean, they're going to get the volume. They can get going. We've seen them, not have a great pre-market activity and pick up pretty nice. But for the most part right now, I'm not seeing anything great on it. They're daily, again, weak as many other tickers are. So again, not a
Maya is saying that they have their Meet A is having their VR event today at 1 p.m. Eastern. So maybe you get some moves later.
Oh, I did not know that. All right, so maybe that could be something later now. 1 p.m.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put that as a possible. We'll remember that, and yeah, maybe that could be something. That could be something for them. All right, guys. Yeah, that we have. Good Meta. We have, again, not a whole lot to go through here. We can go ahead and go into our community events and announcements over on YouTube. I don't see any tickers neither. Shares available for short on Dice. We do. I don't know if we have. Do we have on Trade Ideas? Yeah, we do.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, just scary stuff, man.
To?
Just
10,
yeah. Do you want to short that?
that?
Oh, it's only 10,000. Oh yeah. So if you click on this, guys, by the way, if you click on this little S right
this
here,
is ugly, man. It's a 50 cent. It's a pretty consistent 50-cent spread or more.
Right.
At times you could get destroyed on that. Be careful, guys.
Very, very careful. Here, guys, you can see how many shares you have left, and 10,000 is not a lot. You can blow right through that. All right, with that said, guys, let's get over to our community events and announcements. We'll go over to bearwootrades.com.
And it's got, 17.5% is not a large short float, but when you get big moves like this, it can act a bit like one because you know that there are intraday traders in there shorting it, getting hosed as well.
Yeah.
And there's not many shares for short, indicating that that's probably taking place. So be very careful.
Yeah, and it's just the moves are insane right now, guys. I mean, going from 24 to, in the last couple of minutes, we just bouncing back between 45 and 50. That's a $5 move with that type of spread. Again, you could get wicked out for like $2 on this thing, even through your stop. So that's the scary part. Yeah, that's the scary part. All right, let's go over to our bearwootrades.com page over our webinars, and you can see us coming up for the next 2 weeks.
Yep. Every Monday night, onboarding technology with Carlos, 8 p.m. Eastern. Then on Tuesdays, you've got strategy. Tonight, you've got Thor talking about volume price analysis, the win. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Next week, my man Carlos talking about opening range break strategies, specifically the 5 minutes orbs, and that's at 8. Next Tuesday, psychology. Tomorrow night, we have Creta, the wonderful Creta, at 5 p.m. Eastern. Note the special time since she is in Europe. She's going to be talking about discovering your inner demons through self-reflection. And next week, Mike's going to be talking about how your personal values affect your trading performance. Thursdays, we've got mentorship, 11 a.m. with John, 4 p.m. with Ed. I know Ed is out Friday. I think he's here for mentorship Thursday. If anybody knows for sure, let us know. So just be aware he might be out for that, but I'm not 100% which day he's actually leaving. And then Thor at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Don't forget about tradingterminal.com, where you can go and check out all kinds of stuff, including scanners, free scanners. There you go. They just populated. That's nice. The stuff on the right is predominantly left over from the days before, but the gap is all we really care about right now. So keep an eye on that, and improvements coming to that daily. Also, you've got the stock trading simulator. You can either access it through Trading Terminal or stocktradingsimulator.com, where you can go and practice your trading and hone your trading skills 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in our free web-based replay simulator. All right. If you're watching on YouTube and haven't been in the chat, you can use the promo code PreMarket24 for the intro membership. That is a one-time payment. If you use the promo code, you get a discount. It is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It does not auto-renew, and if you'd like to become an elite member and gain access to all the mentorship and webinars, you can use the promo code READ50 to get half off the elite annual membership and a free one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed.
All right. Thank you very much. No, I appreciate that. So yeah, guys, taking a look back at our list here. Not a blockbuster list, but we do got a couple of things that we can look at and see how they are moving today.
Downright trashy.
Yes, I agree. And what we see in the past when we have a list that's like this, at the market open, we might get better information on either this stock or something else that's moving on our usual suspects. And of course, what we'll be watching, not this dicey thing, but the SPY. All right, we look at the SPY. We're at a interesting area here where I guess we made a new 52-week low here on the SPY. Right, unless we did some pre-market stuff here, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Don't be shocked if we get some choppiness going into this market open into stuff comes out on Thursday morning, right? So it's kind of what the market is waiting for, right, to see what happens Thursday. All right, let's get to levels, guys. We'll start here with Delta. And let me get my thing over here. All right, perfect. So on Delta, guys, high of the pre-market this morning, we are looking at 30. Where's my hotkey's not working? What's going on? Huh. Oh, there we go. Okay, 30.31. High of the pre-market there, and then above that we do have 30.88. So we'll mark those two there on Delta Airlines towards the top. So again, they got some news today. You see some of that movement. This is okay pre-market activity for them. Up 2.6 is actually pretty decent with the volume they're getting now. Nicey ticker. So normally you don't get a whole lot of stock and a whole lot of shares traded in the pre-market, but that can change obviously at the market open. So towards the bottom, you have plenty, guys, highs and lows of the last two trading days. I don't think you really need to add anything else to this watch list, to this chart. I think you're pretty much set when it comes to Delta. Here's Billy, guys. Love the drop on Billy, 4.7. Actually, yesterday traded pretty good, actually. So he did get a nice little drop there on Tesla yesterday. This morning, love the pre-market 13. The high of the pre-market, you're looking at 1350, which is right up here. So once you do that there, you're pretty much set. Towards the bottom of this, we'll have to go back some time because we haven't been here in quite a while. This is your new 52-week low. I mean, how far is this? We'll have to get something in here just to have something in place. We are all-time low on Billy. We might be actually. Let's see here. Go back some more, I guess. I'm curious to see if we're all-time lows. I think we are, guys. I'm not getting any more information besides before 2019 May. So yeah, I think we're all-time low, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. I went as back as I could here, but it looks like we're all-time lows here at 13. So wow, Billy. Madness. All right, that is what we have here. So nothing else towards the bottom there, guys. As far as levels towards the top, you have your highs and lows, and the previous day closed there. So that's doing a good job for us there. All-time low is 939. 39, is that correct? 939. All right, so I'm not seeing that in the chart for some reason. Maybe I got to go too far back, but all right, that's all right. We will be aware of that. All right, next we have Oxy, guys. So Oxy here on deck. We are looking at low of the pre-market sitting at 63.60. So we'll slam a level there. You can see there in the daily, we got a couple areas where that's doing a good job. 60, 63. Got a couple of days bouncing off of that. Again, not the best level. And then you have over here 57, 58. Had a big drop yesterday, guys. Big down drop yesterday here on Oxy. And for the most part, it was traded very, very clean towards the downside. High of the pre-market, 65.22. And then you're all set above here as far as highs and lows, doing a pretty good job, doing some levels for you there. So Oxy, again, it could be, Oxy is one of these stocks that could be a hit or miss. It can trade very well, and then it could give you days like it did yesterday, where it's just look how clean this thing was. And then also gave you some opportunities to get in and ride this for sure. So again, just traded very, very clean yesterday on Oxy. Heading down to one of our usual suspects, and we got three of those on the list today: Apple, Nvidia, and AMD on our secondary list. As you know, these can trade very well with these type of market conditions. Right now, Apple, if you look at the action, is surrounded by the highs and lows of the last two trading days. You got your previous day close slamming against the highs of the pre-market there, slightly a little bit higher at 140.58. So we'll note that there. But for the most part, you're pretty set as far as levels on Apple. You're just you're really right in the middle of these two highs and lows of this range we've been seeing for a while. So if you look at these two highs and lows of the last two trading days, there were highs and lows before as well, right in this area here. So again, kind of right in the middle of those levels at the moment. And this morning's pre-market action looking very nice, 651. So market action, pre-market action alone looks great. Let's hope the SPY doesn't mess it up and we can continue with that type of beautiful pre-market activity we're getting here. Nvidia, again, great yesterday, doing some stuff this morning as well. Was very, very clean towards the downside. Wish I would have traded this instead of Rivian. But it is what it is. High of the pre-market 116.30, and then towards the bottom you're looking at 114.59 with slammer level on those two areas there. So that is Nvidia for you. Towards the top, highs and lows of the last two trading days. Towards the bottom, if we were to test that, we do have to go back quite a bit here. We're looking at maybe March of 2021. Oh no, we just missed that. Let's see if we go. Okay, it's going to be 2020. We're going to zoom in right in here. Okay, here we go. So let's take obviously this area here is a major level, right? You got a nice little bounce there, area of resistance that then becomes support. That's good. And then between you got a couple of days at 111.54, and then the one I mentioned before, so at 108. 108, you can mark that level there as well. All right, so that's what we have there for Nvidia. Plenty of levels. Do not need to add anything else. Then we go to our buddy AMD. AMD again, big drop 2 trading days ago. We're just kind of hovering here at the moment. Love the pre-market. Can't believe Nvidia's at 56, guys. Can you believe that? Insane. 56.68 low of the pre-market. The high of the pre-market pretty close to the previous day close. And if you look at this closely, I mean, I'm not going to put too much weight on that. I prefer to have this as the next level towards the top. This was early on when the market first opened up. You got this initial pop that made this range. I usually do not put a lot of weight into that. When I have another level like this one here, that's going to be a lot more important, right? So I'm going to keep an eye on that instead. So pretty much surrounded by the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Well, let's see what Nvidia will do for us today. So where's coin? I thought I had coin. There we go. I thought I had coin on the list, and we do. It's on the top here. So if we look at coin, guys, right now we do have some activity on it coming right back down. Not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see this thing break away from this messy area here. I don't want it coming back down here, but it is doing that now. So it might not be all that fun after that. High of the pre-market 73.06. And then outside of that, towards the top, you do have another level at 76.14. And then you got some just whatever randomness over here, 81, 84. I don't think we'll get there. Not the way this pre-market actually is looking right now. It's going the opposite way. So let's see what happens here. I might move this one down. It doesn't look good now. Again, if this would have held here and would have came back to 73, I would have been a lot more interested in that. Not saying that it can still be a stock in play, but that's what I would have liked to seen on that ticker there. Roblox is interesting. I have it on a secondary, but maybe I'll move this one up because I like the downgrade here at an area where we're seeing some support. Maybe we can get some kind of breakdown here on Roblox. So I might be keeping that could be the sleeper for today. Put it that way. That could be the sleeper for today on Roblox this morning. So one of the top possibles so far on deck. All right, Uber, Lyft, you guys are throwing those two down. You know, they were active just a few days ago, right? We had some. Oh, look at Uber. Down 5.6. What's the news, guys? What's the down on news? Something just break out now, and then Lyft. Usually, when they're moving like that, some kind of policy change, some kind of a report, something is affecting these guys this morning. They're not reporting, right? I'm not sure if anybody has a calendar handy, but I don't think they're reporting this morning. Correct? Or at least one of them, then maybe another one, sympathy news. So down on news, Sohan, what are you seeing out there? U.S. Department of Labor releases proposals to make companies reclassify independent contracting as employees. Yeah, that's not good. It's not good for Uber. The whole point of Uber is not to they found a way to get around a lot of uh, classifications and requirements to allow people to, to use their cars and not have to get these special insurance. So they did a lot of work to be able to get around that. I remember when that first came out, yellow taxi cabs were not happy at all. There was a huge fight here about, them picking up passengers at the airports. The yellow cabs have their own little spot. It was just, it's insane. But they're smart. They figure out a way to get around that. So let's see what happens there with that. That's not good for them. I was That's really bad news. So I'm gonna add Uber on here. I think Uber, out of both of these, I think Uber tends to be the better trader. So I'm gonna add this one. And actually, I might move coin down. Although it should drop, it could still be interesting. But yeah, Uber definitely, yeah, definitely play. Look at this thing drop. Did that news just come out this morning? Just curious. I must have missed that. Did that news come out this morning? Um, Yep, yep. All right, perfect. We'll see if that is the case. All right, guys, we are all set. I know we're done pretty early. We got time for questions. We got time to look at other tickers. Again, we don't have a blockbuster list today, but we will always find something to trade and take advantage of if we have some opportunities. Over on YouTube, we're sitting at 129 likes. If we can get to 200, we appreciate it. Thank you, guys. So to help us bump that up a couple of likes there, about 80 or so, we'll be very, very happy. So Uber's nice, guys. Very, very active right now. Looking good. Let's take a look at DKNG. Mo is throwing that out here. So DKNG had a nice drop yesterday. This morning's pretty quiet though. I know you're thinking probably a continuation, maybe. I mean, this was a big, big drop yesterday. So I don't know. Right now, pre-market action is pretty dead, but you cannot go off the pre-market action at times on DKNG because look at this. Look at yesterday's pre-market action. Market opens and this thing just sells down. I'm sure it probably has some news maybe. I don't remember the notes here, but yeah, so this pre-market action pretty much very similar to this. So don't put a lot of weight on that. But man, that's a big, big drop there. I'm not sure if there's any continuation left out of that drop there. So we'll have to see. Coin, I have Coin here at the top. They're active, man. They're really active. 150,000 shares trade. I would have loved for them to just stay above 70 here, stay above the VWAP, and continue to press that 73. But we're dropping into the area where you have a lot going on and a lot of support, a lot of resistance, and usually, that's not the path of least resistance, right? You're gonna have more noise and more bounces happening there instead of actual breakout, right? It's just what I'm thinking. But nevertheless, man, 852 on Coin is pretty good this morning. Mara looks okay here above the previous day close as well, but definitely Coin looks very, very active today. They're definitely in place. Just can we get a good trade out of this today? So did we add DKNG? No, I did not add DKNG for now. I think their pre-market action doesn't tell us much. We gotta wait for the market open. And keep in mind, guys, we got scanners, right? There's you can't watch everything. I mean, this list I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have our scanners. You can always check them out at tradingterminal.com. So you go to tradingterminal.com/scanners. So come right in here, click on scanners, and you'll be able to see my two favorite scans that I look at the open. Turbo breakup and turbo breakdown. These two are going to show you anything that is running with volume at the market open. Right now, they're showing you last night's information. That's going to update at the market open and give you fresh stuff. So, if we miss something, if we don't have it here, or maybe we have something in our possibles list that we that can become active, that is a great way to spot those. So definitely take advantage of those. We had a great web onboarding class yesterday. And again, someone was asking how did they get these scanners? Just go right to that link and completely free, right? You don't have to pay anything for that. Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla has been, I mean, I don't know how we missed it earlier, but yeah, Tesla has been extremely active. Personally, I find it tough to trace with some of the pullbacks at times and the way it moves. But Tesla is definitely one to have on deck here. So let's see, what can we move? Yeah, I don't have a lot of space right now, but you guys can definitely add Tesla. I'll put it down here just so we don't miss it. But yeah, Tesla's one to have on deck as well. Already 1 million shares traded. I mean, we've seen Tesla trade some really heavy volume last what 2-3 weeks, right? Seems like in the pre-market, and you can see a slight. It's funny. You can see a slight increase in volume, right? Started happening here, but here, obviously, with all the red candles, you can see a slight increase in volume and kind of holding that. So that extra volume is definitely showing on Tesla because they get heavy volume regardless. But you can see that there's been a very, very nice increase of volume here, over to almost 100 million, looks like, from their regular, 54, which is still great, right? So looking good there. Um, Continues to put nothing but red candles. I thought yesterday would have been the day where they would have had a green candle here, but nope. Still red. Nothing green since the 29th on Tesla. It's just so interesting, man. They've been so weak here and continue to drop. DKNG on the 40K volume spike at 8 does not concern you. Let me take a look. DKNG. 40,000. No, these are transactions being posted, man. So I'm not too concerned on this. Now, if this is all we had, yeah, like let's say this was not DKNG, right? Because obviously DKNG does not have a great pre-market activity, but these are transactions being posted. You see that usually at 8 a.m. You might see it at 9. Might see it at the market open. So I'm not too worried about that. Somebody dropped a big transaction there, and you can see the price goes back up and down. And actually, I've been in situations in the pre-market or where somebody does this, and I'll have my stop, my triangle here, and it'll just go right through that. Your P&L doesn't even adjust because it's the a transaction just being recorded, right? So that happens at 8 a.m. quite a bit. I think Dice, we saw Dice had a big one too, right? You can see that here also. That's a big, big. I guarantee that was not a price drop. That was more transactions being recorded there. So you see that once in a while. I don't put too much weight onto that, Dustin. Onto those transactions. Now, if I see a lot of these, then yeah, that's concerning. But you see this on all tickers, even on like on AMD and I'm an Apple. Sometimes you might even see it there, where you got this huge wick that kind of messes up your charts. You don't see it this morning, but we've seen that on also active tickers as well. Good question. Any other questions, guys? Anything else we can look at? How is your Tesla? Oh, you're asking someone about their swing. Good. Uber. Anyone know? Yeah, there's news. Somebody posted up top. So if you scroll up, there's news there. You got a couple of links as well. There's some news on some Department of Labor stuff that they're trying to implement, and obviously Uber does not like that, and then Lyft obviously it affects them as well because they got the same concept of the way they work, right? I haven't read up on the news, so I don't know much on it. Yeah, I'll look into it after this show. Can we check Amazon? I see the stock holding a 112.50. Let's take a look. Amazon. All right, see what we got going on here on Amazon. 112.50. Yeah, that's your pre-market low, a little bit lower over at 112.42. Yeah, you're getting a nice bounce here, but everything is doing this, right? Now, if you look at Amazon's daily, it's been doing it for some time, trying to hold this low here of the pre-market. We had this stretch here, and now we're doing it again. So maybe that's an area of where people are seeing a good value for Amazon. And we know Amazon's not going to go bankrupt, right? So maybe even with all the downturn you're getting in the market, they say, hey man, 112 is a good price. You're going to have some things that might not want to drop below that. Eventually the market can get what it wants, right? It can force things. We saw AMD do that. If you guys remember a few months back, right, there was a level at AMD did not want to break. Apple and everybody else was breaking that level, and AMD was just kept holding until eventually had to give in, right? So we'll see. Amazon's finding some support here clearly, because if you look at the SPY has been dropping here, and Amazon has not really moved from that. So we'll see what happens. Unlike Nvidia, unlike AMD, these guys been taking a very nice hit, especially the last couple of days. You see that there. So we'll see. We'll see what Amazon does. I don't see anything. So one of our usual suspects now, really. I don't see anything that makes it better than the Apple and Nvidia or AMD this morning. So you can replace that or put that on there if you want. All right, guys, what else do we have? All right, I think we're pretty much set this morning. Let's look at our moderators list and see what we got going on here. Let me resize this here so we could bring this over and we can see what's happening. So let's do this here. and see what our moderators are looking at. And then we'll finalize this list. Again, guys, not a blockbuster list today, but that's okay. Not every day is going to be great. Keep in mind, we're waiting for some very important news to come out later this week. Today's what? Today's Tuesday. So a few more days before that comes out. I think that's going to have a huge play in what the overall market is going to do. And don't force anything. Be very mindful. One of the rules I have, if I get stopped out twice on something or 3 times, right? And then I realize, okay, I got to stop and either not exactly take a break, but I gotta look at the bigger picture. Something I'm doing here is not working, and I might be doing everything right, but it's just kind of a way to protect yourself from getting caught in some serious chop on something that is just not working, right? And that's okay, But just make sure you have those rules in place to prevent you from getting chopped all over the place, because it can happen in this market. It almost happened to me on Rivian yesterday, right? It was just not working out. So here we go, guys. Jared, Nvidia, Delta, United, and Oxy. Secondary list SPWR and Coin. Coin is very active. Susan, Tesla, Apple, Oxy, Spy. Secondary list Delta, AMD, and Amazon. Mike will be looking at Nvidia, Tesla, and Apple. Peter, his list AMD, Apple, Delta, Oxy, and Amazon. Notice how similar this list is, right? We're all, I think, looking at Oxy. Everyone is kind of looking at Tesla. AMD is on here a couple of times. So very similar list across the board here with the moderators. Megan looking at PDD and Microsoft. Megan, you only look at two stocks right on your watch list. I noticed that it's only two, barely three. So Megan very, very focused and fine-tuned here on her list. All right, we'll wait to see if anybody else has anything. We'll wait to see what Brian's list looks like today. You might still be putting that together. Hey, Carlos, why did you pick Delta over American Airlines this morning? Are you seeing something I'm not? Penny, great question. They seem to have a better pre-market action. I like how clean this is now. American Airlines has way more volume, 2.3. But I think the big news was on Delta Airlines, if I'm not mistaken, right? So the big news was on Delta Airlines. Usually, you're right. Usually, I will be picking American Airlines because the volume, right? Already 2.3 million, right? When there's any kind of stuff, they get heavy volume. But I think the bigger catalyst today is on Delta Airlines. So I'm curious to see how that is going to play out. You can look at either one, and actually, the volume on since we last looked at it, the volume on American Airlines has almost doubled here. I mean, 2.3 million. Jeez. So either one is, I think, are going to be good today. But Delta seems to have the catalyst. So I'm hoping they have a better chance of breaking out. We'll see. We'll see how that turns out. All right. What do we got going on? Okay, excellent, guys. I think we are all set, my friends. Our list today, we got a coin, which I think is very active, 913,000. That's very good volume. We have Delta, which they have some catalyst today, and also looking very good. Look out for American Airlines, as Penny mentioned, also looking great. We have Billy on deck here. I have Billy here because I love what they did yesterday. But man, they're pre-market. I don't know how much downside they have. It's not the all-time low. I think the all-time low somebody mentioned is 939. I'm not sure. I think Billy's more of a possible. I don't know if you have, you're kind of extended here unless the market is going to drop. You might not get a full-blown drop here like you did yesterday. So this is questionable. I'll fine-tune this as we get closer to the open. We have Oxy, which again can't tell a lot by the pre-market. Got to wait at the market open to see how that's going to play out. Apple, look at Apple's pre-market activity. I mean, this thing looks like it's open. You can start trading it now. It looks just amazing. Hitting the previous day close and coming right back down. This is looking really nice price action wise. Nvidia, same thing here, looking really good. Already hitting 116 and coming back down to 114. So these two usual suspects looking really nice this morning. Yeah, you know what? We gotta move Billy down. Uber's got to take that spot. Billy's coming down. Uber's coming up. The action on Uber now, and Uber barely moves. It's not the great day trading stock, but today, yeah, American Airlines has its own catalyst too. I like the Delta catalyst a little bit better, but they both have a catalyst today. The one that doesn't is United, right? United just says, "Hey, your guys are gapping up. I'm going to gap up too with you." But yeah. So we'll see. Either one looks good, I think. Uber and Lyft are very interesting, guys. I'm gonna add Uber to my main list. I'm gonna move Billy down. I prefer Uber over Lyft. Lyft is also moving, but if you look at the charts alone, I think Uber is much better. All right, so Uber is good. Actually, did we do levels for Uber? We did not. Let's take 2 quick minutes to do Uber. As Brian puts out his list. Oh, there it is. Brian's got his list ready. Let me do some levels here. We'll read Brian's. I can't even speak today. Read Brian's list, and then we will hand it over to him. 2568 is the low of the pre-market on Uber here. We got a little area of support there as well, so be on the lookout for that. That's above the price action. 26, I'm going to mark that down. So hold down on number 2, so that makes it even more exciting. We have a level here at 2688. Let's throw one there also. And wow, we're in the middle of this gap. I like that. Right in the middle of this gap. It's pretty nice there. We got some levels there as well. Towards the bottom of that, we're going to be marking down 2465. And then we have already marked down the top of this gap there. So really good. Look at that 2465. Love that level as well. Great area support of resistance that can now become support. All right, we're all set, guys. Here's Brian's list. Delta, Dice, which is again very dicey. Very careful with this thing. Uber and XLE for Brian this morning. Guys, thank you so much for joining the pre-market prep over on YouTube. Appreciate it. We're just 24 likes from that 200 mark. I'll feel very accomplished if we can get that. If you haven't done so already, now is an amazing time to do that. So again, thank you so much for being with us. Jack, Jose, everyone, Penny, thank you guys. CFC, appreciate it very much. We'll see you guys soon.